Hello there, and welcome to Whispers to Sleep. My name is David, and I'm truly honored to be your guide tonight. Here we believe sleep is not just a routine. It's a gentle journey, a quiet return to peace every night. I craft stories with care, so your mind can rest and your body can soften all you need to do. Let go, take a slow deep breath in, and as you breathe out, allow the day to melt away. Close your eyes. Get cozy under the covers and let my voice lead you into calm, into comfort, into dreams. This is your time. Your memento. Truly relax. Let's begin. You see it first as a shadow, soft against the deep blue of the night sky. A single feather, black as ink, loosens from the raven's wing and begins to fall. It doesn't plummet. It drifts. Slowly, patiently, as though it understands that time. Moves differently in the quiet hours between moonlight and sleep. You follow it. The feather spins in a gentle spiral, carried by the unseen hands of the air. The world feels hushed, almost reverent, as if the earth itself is watching. You notice how weightless it seems, how easily it moves. But there is no magic here, only gravity, the oldest and softest rule in the universe. Gravity is not a push. It is not a demand. It is an embrace. The earth does not force the feather downward. It calls to it, the way the sea calls to every river. You feel that same call in your own body, your bones, your breath, even the heaviness of your eyelids. All of it anchored to this world by an invisible thread. The feather spins again, caught in a small breath of wind. You can almost see the way the air moves, though it is invisible. In your mind, you imagine the molecules, countless and unseen, colliding gently against the feather's surface, slowing its fall. This is drag, the resistance of air, the quiet reason why a feather's descent feels more like floating than falling. If you could fall beside it, you would move differently. Heavier, faster, pulled by the same earth, but with less resistance. To hold you back. That is the secret of motion, mass and weight, gravity and air, dancing together in a harmony older than the stars. You watch the feather turn in the moonlight, a small glimmer on its edge. For a moment, it is not just a feather. It is a clock, ticking softly, each spin marking the rhythm of the universe. You wonder if this is what the raven knows when it sheds what it no longer needs, that everything eventually returns to the earth, not with violence, but with grace. Beneath you, the ground is silent. You imagine what would happen if there were no air, no invisible cushion to hold the feather's fall. It would drop in an instant, as fast as a stone, as fast as you. There would be no gentleness in its descent, only the hard certainty of gravity. But this world has air, and air is a kind of kindness. The feather dips lower now, weaving through the cool night breeze. Its path is not straight, and neither is yours. You follow its wandering, unhurried motion, and in it you see the nature of falling. Nothing is rushed. Everything finds its way down eventually, guided by the patient hands of physics. You tilt your head back and gaze up at the moon. Even it is falling, though so slowly you could live 1,000 lives and never feel. It orbits the earth, caught in the same gravity that cradles the feather, the same gravity that keeps you safe. You are falling too, though you do not move your feet, pressed gently to a planet forever, spinning through space. The feather nears the ground. It hovers for a moment, caught on a stray current of air, like a thought that refuses to settle. Then, at last, it comes to rest. Its touch is silent, but in that silence there is a lesson. Every fall ends in stillness. You kneel beside it. Up close, you see its delicate structure, each barb and filament connected. A design so intricate that it feels less like biology and more like art. You think about how it grew, cell by cell, shaped by proteins and time, until it became strong, enough to lift a raven against the sky. Now it lies still, a quiet echo of flight. The earth holds it now, The same invisible thread that brought it down also holds you here, steady and safe. Gravity is not only a force, it is a promise. No matter how far you drift, there will always be something waiting to bring you home. You breathe in, and the air feels different now. It is no longer just air. It is the cushion beneath every fall. The reason why feathers don't crash, why clouds float, why even the smallest leaf takes its time before it touches the earth. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you feel it, moving against your skin, a reminder that you are part of this same gentle system. The feather does not rise again. It does not need to. Its journey has ended. But yours continues. Because now, as you sit there in the quiet night, you notice the raven above, perched in the branches, its wings folded like shadows. Its gaze is fixed on you, not harsh, not judging, simply present. You wonder what it sees. Perhaps it knows the language of the air better than you ever will. Perhaps its wings are not only instruments of flight, but instruments of silence. Cutting through the sky without a sound, you look up at it and wonder how it feels to move that way, weightless, effortless, carried by the same invisible forces that guide the feather. And in that wondering, a new thought begins to take shape. If falling is this quiet, then what must it feel like to fly? The raven lifts its wings, not in a rush, not in a burst of power, just a quiet, steady unfolding, as if the sky has always belonged to it. You feel it before you hear it. The faint stirring of air, a whisper of motion too soft to break the silence. Then, with a single downstroke, the bird rises. It does not fight the wind. It joins it. You follow the line of its wings, dark and smooth against the moonlit sky. Each feather is a finely tuned instrument, guiding air in ways you can almost see if you close your eyes. The breeze bends around it, rushing faster above the wing than beneath it, creating lift. You remember this word, lift. Not just a force, but an invitation air welcoming the raven upward, carrying it on invisible hands. The science is simple, but tonight it feels like poetry. The air above the wing speeds up, thinning and lowering. It's pressure. The air below presses harder, urging the bird upward. This is Bernoulli's principle, but it feels nothing like math. It feels like music, the wind humming softly in two different tones, meeting in harmony. And in that harmony, the raven rises higher. You breathe in. The night air is cool, and for a moment, you imagine it flowing across your own skin. You imagine what it would feel like to be weightless, held by something you cannot see. The raven tilts its wings, and suddenly it is no longer rising. It is gliding, perfectly still except for the subtle corrections of its feathers. This is flight without effort. You watch closely. Drag holds it back. Gravity calls it down, but it is balance, not strength, that keeps the bird aloft. Every movement is precise, quiet, almost meditative. You begin to see the sky not as empty space, but as a river. The raven does not swim through it. It surrenders, letting the current hold it, letting its wings shape the flow. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it. The language of air. Every feather speaks. The smallest adjustments, a flick of the tail, a shift of the wingtip, change everything. You imagine the air itself listening, responding, folding neatly around the bird's shape. Even drag, the soft resistance that slows its flight, is not an enemy. It is part of the conversation, a reminder that every force in nature has its purpose. You think of your own breath. Inhale, exhale. You feel it move in and out, the same air that lifts the raven, the same air that drifts past the moon, the same air that once carried seeds across oceans. It has been here for billions of years, and tonight it carries a single bird across a quiet sky. The raven banks to the left. You notice how it leans into the turn, how its inner wing tucks in slightly, while the outer one stretches wide. It is. Geometry in motion, but it feels more like trust. The bird is not afraid of falling. It knows that falling and flying are only different ways of moving through the same sky. You watch it dip lower now, the tips of its wings barely brushing the air. You think about how wings are not made for strength alone, but for touch for, feeling every shift, every tremor in the wind. If the feather taught you gravity, the wing teaches you surrender, and suddenly you understand. Flight is not defiance. It is cooperation. The raven glides closer to the ground now, the moonlight catching. Its feathers like threads of silver. You can see the texture of each quill, the subtle curve that makes lift possible, the way the edges taper down into fine veins. Nothing is wasted. Every part of it is a design older than memory, a lesson written not in ink but in evolution. You. Close your eyes and imagine your own arms becoming wings. Not because you want to escape the earth, but because you want to feel the way the raven feels, to ride the wind, to trust it the way you trust the ground beneath your feet. You imagine the air rushing past, cool and steady, carrying you forward. Without effort, and for a moment, you believe you can. The raven circles once above you, then drifts lower, landing without a sound. You notice how its wings fold, in not abruptly, but like the closing of a book, a story finished for now. It stands. In silence, feathers settling, the sky behind it wide and endless. You kneel down beside it, and the air feels different now. It is no longer just a space between things. It is a bridge between the earth and the sky, between falling and flying, between the heaviness of your body and the weightless dreams that drift just above it. The raven tilts its head, as if to ask if you understand. And you do. You understand that even in stillness, the sky is moving. You understand that every breath you take is part of that same invisible river. You understand that if you are to leap not in fear, not in haste, but in quiet trust, you would not fall. You would be carried. The bird opens its wings once more. A single push of air, and it is rising again, higher this time, until it becomes a silhouette against the stars. You watch until it vanishes into the distance, until all that's left is the soundless memory of its flight. And you wonder, if the air can hold a raven, what else might it hold? What else, in this quiet night, might be waiting to rise? The raven lands in silence. Its wings fold neatly against its sides, and it tilts its head toward you. You meet its gaze. For a moment, the world feels still, as if the night itself has paused just to hold this moment between you. Its eyes dark, round, and steady reflect the moonlight like deep pools of ink. And in their quiet depths, you feel an invitation to see, not just with your eyes, but with understanding. You draw closer. The raven does not move. Its gaze is sharp, but not unkind. You notice how its head turns in tiny, precise angles, every movement exact and purposeful. Ravens see the world differently than you do. Their vision is sharper, their eyes able to catch the faintest glint of movement. But beneath this difference lies a shared truth. Light is the language that every eye must learn to read. Light travels. From the moon above, bouncing off every branch, every stone, every shadowed feather on the raven's wing. It moves so quickly faster than anything else you can imagine. Yet here, under this calm sky, it feels gentle. It drifts through the air and touches your eyes, slipping through the dark window of your pupils. And then the real work begins. Inside, your eye, light bends. It passes through the curved lens, focusing sharply onto a thin, delicate layer at the back of your eye, the retina. Here, millions of tiny cells rods and cones wait in silence, ready to turn light into meaning. You picture them like tiny watchful lanterns, each one tuned to a different shade of the world. The rods thrive in darkness. They gather the faintest whispers of light, helping you see shapes and shadows even when the night is deep. The cones, though fewer, bring color to life, painting the day in blues, greens, and reds. The raven blinks. Once, slow and unhurried, and you imagine its eyes working in the same quiet harmony. And yet, what you see is not in your eyes. Not entirely. Your brain takes this river of light and rebuilds it. It stitches every flicker into a seamless picture, correcting for gaps, smoothing out what is blurred, and filling in what is lost. What you see, in truth, is not just light, it is memory, expectation, and wonder, woven together in a single moment. You glance at the raven again. In its eyes, you see the stars reflected tiny points of silver on a canvas of black. You wonder how it sees them. Perhaps brighter, perhaps sharper. Perhaps in its way, it sees more than just stars. Perhaps it sees the quiet space between them, the invisible threads of air and motion that your eyes for now can only dream of. And you begin to notice something else. Darkness is not empty. The longer you stand beneath the sky, the more your pupils widen, the more the rods in your eyes awaken, and the more the night begins to bloom. Shapes once hidden in shadow now emerge, soft and clear. The curve of a distant branch, the faint ripple of grass, the gentle shimmer of dew caught in moonlight dot. It is the same world, but seeing more deeply. The raven tilts its head once more, as if approving of what you are learning. Its gaze is steady, and in that gaze, you feel something vast and ancient, a reminder that vision is not only a sense, it is a bridge. Through it, the world enters you, and you enter the world. You take a slow breath. The air feels cooler now, as though the night has drawn closer around you, not in fear, but in quiet comfort. You look up again, tracing the stars, and think about how your eyes turn photons, tiny packets of light, into something so much larger. A story, a map, a memory dot, and then you remember. The raven sees ultraviolet light to a color your eyes will never know. To it, the world holds patterns and markings that are invisible to you. Flowers glow with hidden signals. Feathers shimmer with secret hues. For a moment, you feel a spark of envy. But then you smile. Even in your limits, there is wonder, because every boundary in sight is also an invitation. What you cannot see, you can imagine. And what you imagine, you can feel. The raven blinks again, slow and deliberate, and you feel a strange sense of gratitude for its gaze, for the quiet language of light, and for the simple truth that seeing is never just looking. You close your eyes, and even in darkness, vision does not stop. Your mind still paints shapes, colors, and fragments of the world you've just seen. In the absence of light, memory becomes its own kind of sight. When you open your eyes again, the raven has not moved. Its stare is patient, almost knowing. You wonder if it is waiting, not for you to see it, but for you to notice how much more there is to see. You lift your gaze back to the stars. Some are bright, bold, and clear. Others are faint, like whispers at the edge of hearing. Yet all of them, near and far, reach you in the same way. A single thread of light, stretched across time and distance, finally touching your eyes. And as you stand there beneath the infinite, you understand something simple and profound. Every act of seeing is also an act of connection. The raven blinks once more and spreads its wings, as if ready to lead you somewhere new. You feel the night air stir, and the world sharpens in your vision, not brighter, not louder, but clearer, as though the sky has leaned closer to meet you. And you wonder, if this is what you see tonight, what might you discover when you begin to listen? The raven is silent now. Its wings fold close to its sides, and it perches on a branch above you, black against the moonlit sky. For a moment, you think there is no sound at all, only stillness, deep and unbroken. But as you listen, the quiet begins to bloom. You hear it, a faint rustle of feathers, the soft stir of leaves, the gentle hum of the night itself. As though the world is breathing slowly in its sleep. Sound is never truly absent. Even here, where silence feels heavy and complete, vibrations move through the air like invisible threads. A raven shifts its claws against the bark, sharp, quick, almost too soft to notice. Yet your ears catch it, because sound, like light, is a language your body knows how to hear. A single note begins with motion. When the raven's beak clicks softly in the dark, it pushes the air. Tiny molecules ripple outward, bumping into one another, carrying the sound farther and farther until it reaches you. Your ears are waiting, ready to turn these ripples into meaning. You close your eyes and listen. Your eardrum trembles with every wave. Delicate bones in your ear, the hammer, anvil, and stirrup move like dancers, passing each vibration inward until they reach the fluid-filled spiral of your inner ear. Inside that quiet spiral, tiny hair cells bend in time with the movement of the air, sending gentle signals to your brain. And there, in the quiet of your mind, sound becomes thought. You hear the faint whisper of the breeze. You hear the distant hoot of an owl, low and hollow, echoing through the trees. You hear the raven above you, letting out a single, soft call, a sound that seems to hang in the night like a ribbon of black silk. Each sound carries not only its tone, but its shape, its distance, its texture. You think of sound as a kind of touch you cannot see. Deep sounds rumble against you like soft thunder in the chest. High sounds brush past your ears like strands of silk. And silence, true silence, is never empty at all. It is simply the space between these invisible touches, the place where your mind can rest and listen more deeply. The raven calls again, low and drawn out. You imagine the sound waves stretching outward like ripples in water, expanding till they fade into the distance. This is resonance, the way sound fills space, clinging to the walls of the forest, bouncing between the trunks of the trees before returning to you as the faintest echo. Even the earth listens. Beneath your feet, low vibrations travel through the ground. They move slower than sound in air, but they reach farther, humming deep within the soil. You think of whales calling across oceans, their voices rolling through miles of water, or elephants rumbling across the savannah, their footsteps speaking, in frequencies too low for your ears, but felt by the ground itself. You realize then, hearing is not only for ears, it is for bones, for skin, for the quiet awareness that hums beneath your thoughts. The raven above you shifts again, and even though the sound is faint, you feel it as much as you hear it. The night deepens, and you let yourself drift further into its quiet music. Every sound becomes a thread in a larger tapestry. The wind through the leaves is a long, low note. The rustle of branches adds a soft harmony. The raven's call cuts through it all, clear and sharp, like a single star in a dark sky. And then you notice something you hadn't before. When you stop searching for sound, it comes to you more easily. This is how your brain works in the dark. Your senses stretch out, straining to catch even the smallest detail. It's why the world feels sharper at night, not because there is more to hear, but because you are finally listening. You listen so deeply that you begin to hear what is almost nothing at all. The faint pulse of your own blood in your ears, the soft whisper of your breath, the subtle vibration of the world around you, always present, always moving. Even in the stillest silence, the raven lifts its head, and for a moment, it seems to listen with you. Perhaps it hears things you cannot, the flutter of a distant moth, the cracking of a branch far off in the forest. Its head tilts slightly, as though it understands something you are just beginning to feel. Sound is not only heard, it is inhabited. And suddenly, you feel it too. You are no longer separate from the night. Its quiet hum passes through you, around you, and within you, as if you, too, are an instrument tuned to its song. You look back to the raven. Its gaze is steady, but it does not move. The silence between you now feels alive, not empty, but full, of unseen music, waiting to be understood. You take one last breath, letting the stillness settle around you like a soft blanket. You do not need to hear everything. You only need to feel that it is there. And in that gentle quiet, a thought stirs. If sound can shape the air, and silence can hold a hidden song, what other unseen forces are moving through the world, waiting for you to notice? The raven steps lightly across the earth. The moon hangs high, silver and watchful, and from the bird's black form, a shadow spills thin at first, then long, like a ribbon, unrolling across the ground. You follow it, quiet and steady, until you notice something simple yet extraordinary. The shadow moves not only because the raven does, but because of the way light itself bends and falls. You pause. You look up at the moon. Its glow feels soft, almost tender, but it travels across nearly 384,000 kilometers of emptiness to reach you. Every photon of moonlight you see began its journey at the sun, bounced against the moon's dusty surface, and crossed the void of space to land gently here, outlining the world in silver dot. And in that light, shadows are born. You step closer to the raven. Its shadow sharpens as you near it, edges clear and defined. When you move away, it softens, the boundary between dark and light blurring into a quiet gray. This is how light behaves. It travels straight, but it also spreads, bending around, edges and softening corners. You feel a strange comfort in this. Even shadows are not absolute. They shift with the angles of the stars. They stretch and shrink as the earth turns beneath the sky. In the deep quiet of the night, you imagine the sun below the horizon, its light still reaching, only hidden by the curve of the earth itself. Shadows are simply the places that light cannot touch, not because light is gone, but because the world is holding it back for now. The raven tilts its head. Its shadow tilts too. You crouch down, tracing the darkness on the ground with your fingertips, as if it were something you could hold. But a shadow is only the memory of light, a silent shape that reveals how light moves. And so, you begin to follow it like a map dot with each step. You think of how shadows grow longer at dusk, stretching like slow-moving rivers across the earth, until night deepens and they dissolve into one another. You remember how, at noon, shadows crouch small and tight beneath your feet, as if hiding from the sun's direct gaze. This, too, is science written in soft lines upon the ground. Light travels in straight paths, but when it meets matter-like, the raven, or you, it is interrupted. Some of it bounces back, painting the world in color. Some is swallowed, turning to warmth in your skin. And some is blocked, falling away into absence, leaving behind only the outline of what stands in its way. You realize that shadows are not empty. They are proof of light's journey. The raven moves again, its wings spreading. For a moment, its shadow widens and breaks apart, feathers scattered into darkness. You imagine what the world must look like from above, how every tree, every stone, every feather casts its own thin thread of darkness beneath the moon. The earth is covered in these quiet shifting patterns, a tapestry of shapes woven by starlight and sun. You breathe deeply, and the night feels larger. Above you, the stars burn. Each one is another sun, far away, its light so faint that it cannot cast a shadow sharp enough for your eyes to see. But it is there, mingling with moonlight, spilling across space, leaving its own soft fingerprints on the world. Even the darkest shadow, you realize, holds some light too dim for you to notice, but still present, still traveling. You step beside the raven now. Its shadow merges with your own, two shapes folding together on the ground. It feels almost like a conversation, a meeting of forms, drawn in darkness, held in silence. And then you notice something even quieter. The shadow is never perfectly still. The air moves. A breeze stirs the grass. The raven shifts the slightest bit, and with each tiny change, the shadow flows like ink in water, a reminder that nothing in the world is ever truly frozen. Even in darkness, there is motion. Even in stillness, there is change. You close your eyes for a moment and feel the warmth of this truth. Shadows are not only about what you see, they are about what you cannot see: light, distance, motion, and the turning of the earth beneath. The sky. They are the language of both presence and absence, written in quiet lines that only appear when the world slows down enough for you to notice. You open your eyes, and the raven looks back at you, as if sharing the secret. For a heartbeat, you wonder what it sees. Perhaps the bird does not think of light or angles or the bending of space. Perhaps it simply knows the comfort of darkness, the shelter it provides. But you, standing in the hush of night, feel something deeper in understanding that shadows are not endings. They are pathways, pointing always toward the light that made them. You watch the raven take a single step forward, and you follow. Its shadow stretches ahead, leading the way like a trail drawn in ink. And as you walk, you realize that every shadow you pass, every shifting shape upon the ground, has a story. The shadow of a tree tells of the sun's slow climb across the sky. The shadow of a rock whispers of the countless days it has stood unmoving. Even your own shadow speaks of you, where you stand, where you move, how the light has touched you. You pause one last time. The raven's shadow reaches out in front of you, long and unwavering. You look past it, into the dark beyond, and you feel it. Shadows are not just what stand between you and the light. They are bridges between what is seen and unseen, between the earth beneath your feet and the stars above your head. You breathe in, slow and steady, and step forward. The shadow stretches farther, thinner now, as if it is leading you to something more. And perhaps it is not, because in the quiet, a question takes root. If shadows are born of light, what other invisible forces are waiting, just beyond sight, guiding you through the night? The raven ruffles its wings, and the air stirs. You watch as the feathers lift and settle, a soft ripple running across its dark body. In that motion, there is something more than movement. It is warmth, rising like a silent exhale, fading into the night around you. You step closer. The world is quiet enough that you can almost feel it. The difference between warm and cool, the unseen river of heat drifting outward, slow and inevitable. This is how the universe breathes. Heat always moves dotted, flows from where it is full to where it is empty, from warmth to cold, the way water finds the lowest ground. This is thermodynamics, the quiet rule that governs everything from the raven's feathers to the stars themselves. You can't see it, but you can sense it, like a soft tide pushing gently, patiently, without ever stopping. The raven shifts. A tiny puff of air lifts from its plumage, and you imagine what is happening in that simple, graceful act. Each feather holds a pocket of air, trapping heat close, keeping the bird safe against the chill. But when it shakes its body, that warmth escapes, tiny particles of energy slipping away, mixing with the cold of the night. And as they do, the balance shifts. Warm and cool find one another, blending until they are the same. You kneel, feeling. The ground, it is cooler than the air, but not lifeless. Even the earth beneath your hand hums faintly with stored heat, drawn in from the sun during the day, now slowly returning it to the sky. The universe is never still. It is always exchanging, giving, and receiving. The raven hops closer to you, its black eyes calm and steady. You watch the faint shimmer of heat in your mind, as though the night were painted in invisible colors. The warmth of the bird, the softer glow of your own breath, the cooler trails left in the air as the wind drifts by. Every difference in temperature is a conversation heat spilling out, cold slipping in, a never-ending dialogue written without words. And this, too, is how you live. The warmth of your skin leaves you in quiet threads. The air takes it, spreading it thinner and thinner until it disappears into the vastness. Even as you breathe out, your breath carries a little heat with it, like a lantern fading into the distance. You find this strangely comforting, because if the universe is always exchanging, then nothing is truly lost. Energy changes form, moves from place to place, but it is never gone. The warmth that leaves the raven's feathers becomes part of the air. The air shares it with the earth, and the earth, in time, returns its heat to the sky. The raven shakes its wings again, scattering the night with unseen ripples. You imagine the atoms themselves, tiny, restless dancers colliding, passing energy from one to another. The faster they move, the warmer they feel. And when they slow, their warmth drifts away. It is the simplest rhythm of existence, written in everything you touch. You close your eyes for a moment. You feel the warmth of your hands. You feel the cooler air brushing your skin. You feel the quiet flow of heat moving outward as natural, as a tide pulling back to sea. When you open your eyes, the raven is still there, watching. You think of how even it must carry this same quiet law within its feathers and bones. The bird does not need to know the word thermodynamics to live it. It simply is. You reach out your hand, not to touch, but to feel the air between you. The space hums with balance. Heat moves where it must. Cold fills the spaces left behind. And in that gentle trade, the world holds itself together. The raven ruffles again, and a single feather loosens, tumbling down like a piece of midnight sky. You catch it before it touches the ground. It is softer than you expect, lighter too. You press it between your fingers and feel the faintest trace of heat, fading even now, but it does not feel like loss, that it feels like sharing. Every moment, every breath, every beat of this night is a quiet exchange. Your warmth flows outward, the cold moves in. The universe balances you in ways you never notice, until you stand here, holding a single feather, and realize it has been happening all along. The raven croaks once, a low, soft sound that ripples. The air, its breath too, carries heat, spilling into the same invisible tide. You look around. The ground, the trees, even the stars above, they are all a part of this endless motion. Energy never sleeps. It only shifts, waiting to become something else. You close your hand around the feather, not to hold it, but to feel its lightness one last time. And then you let it go. Drifts into the air, twirling once before falling, silently to the earth. You watch it settle, black against silver moonlight, a reminder of the quiet law that cradles the world. The raven does not move. It simply watches you, as if to say, this too is part of the language of feathers. The warmth that fades, the cold that comes, the endless flow in between. And in that moment, you understand thermodynamics is not just science. It is a story told in every breath of wind, every flicker of warmth, every feather that falls into the night. You breathe in, slow and deep, feeling the balance between yourself and the world around you. And then you take a single step forward. The raven follows, silent and sure, its feathers rustling softly, as if speaking a language you are only just beginning to learn. In that sound, in that warmth, in that quiet exchange, you wonder if heat can move unseen. What other hidden forces might be flowing around you now, shaping the path ahead? The night is still. The raven stands close, unmoving, but you sense something within it, an invisible rhythm. You lean closer, and in that quiet you hear it. A faint pulse, slow, certain, steady, like a drum played softly beneath layers of feather. And bone, your own heart answers. Thump, thump. Two rhythms, separate, but somehow the same dot. You place your hand against your chest, and there it is, the gentle push of life, constant and unrelenting. No command needed, no thought required. It has been there since the beginning, keeping time for every moment you have lived, and it will be there still, beating faithfully as you dream. The raven shifts its wings, and you imagine its heart, small but powerful, hidden deep inside. Its pulse is faster than yours, a quicker song, because small bodies often burn brighter, their engines working harder to keep them aloft. And yet, the principle is the same. A heart that moves blood, blood that carries oxygen, and oxygen that feeds the quiet fire within. You close your eyes and listen. Every heartbeat is a story of motion. With each contraction, blood flows into tiny highways of vessels, delivering oxygen to every corner of the body. Oxygen, once part of the air, breathed, and without effort, becomes the spark that fuels life itself. Cells take it in, and deep within their invisible machinery, they turn it into energy. You imagine it like a lantern glowing inside every living thing. Oxygen enters. It meets the food you eat, the sugars waiting like kindling. And with a spark, energy blooms. Not fire you can see, but fire that powers every movement, every breath, every thought. You and the raven share this quiet chemistry. You breathe out. The raven breathes in. The air you exhale could become the breath that fuels its flight. In this simple exchange, you see how all living things are bound together, not by sight, not by touch, but by the invisible currents of air and the steady rhythm of their hearts. You take another slow breath. The air is cool. It slips into your lungs, winding through delicate branches until it reaches the smallest spaces, tiny alveoli, where oxygen passes into blood. There, hemoglobin waits, like countless small fairies, ready to carry it wherever it is needed. Picture these red fairies flowing through you, silent and tireless. They carry their precious cargo to every cell, every fragment of your being. And in those cells, the oxygen vanishes, not lost, but transformed, becoming the quiet power that keeps you alive. The raven ruffles its feathers, and you wonder if it too feels this invisible tide. Its heart beats faster than yours, and yet it is the same river that moves within you both. Energy flows. Breath feeds life. The quiet fire never stops. And then you think of the stillness between the beats, that fraction of a moment where the heart rests before it pushes again. You realize that life is not only in the beating, but also in the pause, the quiet in-between where balance lives. It is in this space that calm is born. You place a hand on your chest and feel it. Beat, rest, beat, rest. A rhythm as ancient as the stars above. You wonder how many times it has happened, how many times your heart has moved without you noticing. Millions of beats, each one carrying you here, to this silent night, to the raven at your side. The raven turns its head, its dark eyes reflecting the moonlight, and for a moment you imagine that it understands. Perhaps its heart, too, has learned this language of balance, the strength of motion, the peace of stillness, woven into one seamless song. You breathe in deeply, holding the air for a second, feeling the stretch of your lungs, the quiet fullness. And then you let it go, slow and steady, and with it, a little of the world flows out into the sky. This is how you live between the beats, between the breaths. You think of the heart as a drum, oxygen as the music, and every cell in your body as a dancer moving to its rhythm. Even the raven, silent and still, is a dancer in its own way, bound to the same unseen tempo that keeps the universe alive. Your heartbeat slows as you watch the bird, and for a moment, you are not separate. You are simply one more rhythm in a world full of them. You glance up at the stars. Somewhere far away, suns burn, enormous and unending, their energy flowing outward without rest. And here you are, with a single heart, a single breath, and yet you feel connected to it all, the great fires above and the quiet pulse within. The raven lifts one wing, stretching it in the moonlight, and you notice the tiny movements beneath. Its feathers, muscles fed by oxygen, powered by the same chemistry you share. You realize that you are watching not only a bird, but also a mirror. Your heart and its heart. Your breath and its breath. Two lives, two rhythms, both guided by the same invisible rules that bind every living thing. You press your palm lightly against your chest once more, feeling the drum that never stops. It is not loud. It is not demanding. It is simply there, carrying you forward, beat by gentle beat. The raven steps closer, and in its quiet presence, you understand something simple but vast. Life is not only in the heart itself. It is in the spaces between the beats, in the breath that follows, in the balance of motion and rest that carries you from one moment to the next. The bird exhales a soft sound, almost like a sigh, and you answer with your own. Two rhythms. One. Quiet world. And in this calm, you find yourself wondering, if every beat is a step and every breath is a bridge, where might this rhythm lead you next? The raven tilts its head upward. You follow its gaze, and suddenly the world feels larger than you remembered. Above you stretches a canvas of stars, thousands of silent fires, scattered like seeds across a boundless field. You breathe in slowly. The air is cool, thin with the hush of night, and as you exhale, it feels as if your breath could rise and mingle with that endless darkness. The raven is still. You are still. Only the sky moves, so slowly that you almost don't notice. A quiet rotation of the earth, carrying you beneath the constellations. You look up and begin to trace the shapes. There is Orion, its belt of 3 bright stars lined like a path across the heavens. There is Cassiopeia, a tilted crown of light. And further still, the faint haze of the Milky Way, a river of starlight, so vast it carries within it hundreds of billions of suns. Each one is far, yet light makes the distance vanish. You remember. What you see is old light. When you look at a star 100 light years away, you are seeing it not as it is now, but as it was a century ago. Starlight is a letter written long before you arrived, traveling through the black ocean of space until it reached your eyes. Tonight. And somehow, this does not make the stars feel distant. It makes them feel eternal. You imagine this journey? Photons born in the heart of a star, forged in its impossible heat, then racing outward across the cold void of space. They travel faster than anything else, and 186,000 miles in a single second. Until, at last, after years or centuries or even millennia, they find you standing here, looking up. You wonder if the raven understands. Its eyes gleam with the reflection of that ancient light, as if it carries the universe within them. Perhaps in a way, it does. Every atom in its feathers, every breath it takes, was born in a star that lived and died long before this night. And you, too, you are made of this same stardust iron from ancient suns, carbon from cosmic furnaces. Your blood carries the memory of dying stars, and your bones hold fragments of their light. You are not beneath the sky. You are part of it. The raven shifts slightly, as if to remind you to keep watching. You trace a single star with your eyes, letting its quiet glow steady. Your thoughts. You think of distance again, of how a light year is not a unit of time, but of space. The distance light travels in 1 year. Nearly 6 trillion miles. Numbers so large they almost slip through your fingers like sand. But here, standing under the sky, it doesn't feel like math. It feels like music. Every star is a note. The constellations are chords, and the galaxy itself is a vast and patient symphony that has been playing long before you began to listen. You take another slow breath. You picture yourself floating upward past the thin blue skin of the atmosphere, where the sky deepens and the stars sharpen against the velvet dark. From there, the earth is small, spinning silently, its oceans and mountains barely a glimmer. The raven would not fear this height. You imagine it gliding through that stillness, black wings stretched wide against the infinite. And perhaps if you followed it far enough, you might pass from one star to another, carried not by wings, but by wonder. You close your eyes, and for a moment, you can almost feel it, the slow pull of gravity giving way to the gentle drift of space up there. There is no sound, only light and the quiet hum of what is. You open your eyes again. The stars have not moved, and yet you feel different. You are smaller now, yes, but also wider, like the night itself has unfolded inside you. The raven caws once, softly. A sound that feels less like a cry and more like a reminder. You are here, on this earth, beneath the sky. And that is enough. You breathe out, long and slow. Every star above you is a point on a map you will never finish tracing, but perhaps you don't need to. The beauty is not in reaching every light. It is in knowing they are there, waiting, steady, patient. And as you stand there, hand resting against your chest, you realize that the rhythm of your heart and the quiet spark of the stars are not so different. Both are steady. Both are ancient. Both are reminders of the quiet continuity of everything. The raven lowers its head slightly, its gaze still fixed on the sky, as if to say, remember this. Remember the vastness, but also the closeness. The sky is not above you. It is around. You, inside you, you lift your face to the night one more time, and in that moment, you feel almost weightless. You think of the stars not as distant fires, but as lanterns placed in the dark to keep you company. And as your eyes follow one faint line of light across the horizon, you wonder if the stars are a map. What story are they leading you toward next? The raven leaps. For one breathless instant, it is only falling black wings folded, body slicing through the air like an arrow. You feel the drop in your own chest, a quiet surrender to the pull beneath your feet. Gravity holds you both. It does. Not shout or demand. It simply waits, constant and patient, drawing everything back toward the center. You feel it in your bones, in the weight of your body pressing gently against the earth. You watch the raven unfurl its wings and catch the air again, not to escape gravity, but to dance with it. Its flight is not a rebellion, it is a conversation. The upward beat of its wings, the downward pull of the earth, two partners moving in perfect rhythm. And you, standing here, are part of that rhythm too. You tilt your head back and imagine the unseen threads that bind everything. Oceans cling to the earth because of this force. The moon is tethered to its orbit. Even the stars distant, burning follow its quiet rules, locked in the slow spiral of galaxies. You take a step, and gravity answers. Every movement is a promise. You will not drift away. You are held. You close your eyes for a moment, and let that truth settle. Gravity is not heavy. It is gentle. It does not crush, it cradles. Without it, the oceans would rise and scatter. The air would drift into the dark, and you would no longer have a place to stand. The raven glides above you now, a shadow moving across the grass. Its wings stretch wide, balancing the downward pull with its own effortless grace. You wonder if it knows that every feather's path is written by the same force that guides the planets. You kneel and touch the ground. Beneath the soil, you imagine the curve of the earth itself, round and vast, spinning through space. You do not feel the motion, and yet it is there. What you feel instead is the steady embrace that holds everything in place. You think of apples falling from branches, of rivers running downhill, of your own heart sinking when you remember a deep sadness, perhaps even feelings in their own quiet way. Obey gravity too. The raven dives again, closer this time. You watch as it folds its wings and lets itself drop, unafraid, trusting the invisible. You follow it with your eyes and feel a strange comfort in the surrender, because gravity is not just a force, it is connection. It is the thread between you and the ground, between the sea and the shore, between the moon and the tide. Without it, there would only be drifting, a silence too wide to cross. But with it, there is belonging. You take another deep breath. Above you, the stars you traced in the last chapter remain steady, their light falling across you like a soft blanket. They too obey this same law. Galaxies swirl because of it. Black holes, dense and mysterious, are gravity's deepest voice pulling even light itself into their silence. And yet, here you stand. You are small, yes, but not lost. You are anchored. The raven lands on a nearby stone, its claws curling into place. You watch its chest rise and fall. It seems content, as if it understands what you are only beginning to feel, that gravity is not something to fight, but something to rest in. You imagine drifting upward, away from this pull. The earth would shrink beneath you. Your breath would thin. You would float without weight, untethered. And though the thought is strange and beautiful, you realize it would also be lonely, because down here, there is comfort in the weight that holds you close. You run your fingers across the soil again, and it feels warm, solid, real. A quiet reminder that you belong exactly where you are. The raven ruffles its feathers, scattering tiny motes of dust into the air. Even they fall gently back down, drawn by the same invisible hand. Everything returns. Everything finds its place. Lift your face to the sky, and for a moment, you wonder if gravity is not just a force, but a kind of language, a soft voice that says, "Stay, and so you do." You stay in this moment. You stay beneath the stars, beneath the slow turning of the earth, feeling the weight not as a burden, but as a lullaby, a steady, unending song that hums through every step you take. The raven hops closer, tilting its head toward you, as if to say, "You are not falling. You are being held." And in that quiet truth, you feel your breath steady. Perhaps you think, this is why the tides never stop, why the planets never drift away. Not because they are trapped, but because they are home. You. Close your eyes once more. You imagine the unseen threads that tie you to this ground, this sky, this world. And with every heartbeat, you feel them hum, soft and certain. When you open your eyes again, the raven is watching you, still and calm. Its wings shift against the night air, as if preparing for another flight, and you know now that whether it rises or falls, it will never be far. Not really, because nothing is ever truly lost to the pull that keeps the universe whole. You take a final breath and let it out slowly, the weight of it grounding you. Perhaps that is gravity's quiet gift. It does not ask you to soar. It only asks you to stay long enough to feel the wonder of being held. The raven leaps once more, this time not falling, but gliding upward in a graceful arc. You follow it with your eyes, steady and unafraid. And as the sky deepens, you find yourself wondering if gravity is the force that keeps you grounded, what unseen currents might be waiting to carry you beyond it. The first light of dawn brushes the horizon, pale and soft, as though the sky itself is still half asleep. You stand beneath it, still cradled in the memory of gravity's pull, of the endless night sky, of the steady rhythm that has carried you through each chapter of this quiet journey. And then you see it, the raven, its wings, dark and steady, rise against the growing light. This time there is no dive, no circling glide. It climbs higher, every stroke of its wings carving a path through the cool morning air, as if the world has been waiting for this final ascent. You follow its movement, not with urgency, but with a calm wonder, as though watching a promised being. Kept, the air is different now. You can feel it on your skin, warmer, lighter, shifting as the sun climbs. The heat spreads slowly, like ink through water, filling the empty spaces left by the fading night. You breathe in, and the air carries more than warmth. It carries the quiet memory of everything you've learned, the hum of sound, the language of feathers, the gentle pull of gravity, and the stillness between heartbeats. It carries the story of the raven. The bird tilts its wings, rising higher, cutting through invisible rivers of wind. And though you cannot hear it, you know its feathers are whispering, brushing against the air, shaping the currents around it. Here, in this moment, you understand. Flight is not defiance. It is trust. The raven is not escaping the world. It is held by it. The same force that keeps you grounded is the one that lets it rise. Gravity is not gone. It is only balanced, as if the earth itself has loosened its grip just enough to let the bird reach for the sky. You close your eyes and imagine what that must feel like, to be lifted not by force, but by harmony. Every motion has its reason. The sun rises because the earth turns. The tides move because the moon watches over them. The raven climbs because air and wing and weight find their perfect conversation. You look up again, and it is smaller now, a dark speck against a sky that is no longer deep blue but pale and endless. And yet, you do not feel it slipping away, because nothing is lost in this universe. Not really. Energy changes, shifts, flows. The warmth of the sun becomes the stir of the wind, the breath in your lungs, the beat of your heart. Even the raven's flight is a kind of echo, a reminder that motion is simply the language of life. You take a step forward and feel the earth beneath your feet, solid, quiet, familiar. The raven, though distant now, has left its mark. You feel it in the way your chest rises and falls in steady rhythm. You feel it in the way the world holds you, not tight, but gently, like the sky holding the bird. And then, in a single long beat of its wings, the raven is gone, not vanished, not lost, simply beyond sight, carried into a space where the horizon folds sky into sky. The quiet it leaves behind is not empty. It is full, full of the hum of the morning air, full of the warmth of the rising sun, full of the deep, unshakable knowledge that you are part of this vast and wondrous pattern. You breathe in again, slow and deep. The air tastes different now, lighter, sweeter, as if, with the raven's ascent, something inside you has lifted too. You think of the night and how it carried you here, through shadows that mapped the stars, through the warmth hidden in feathers, through the quiet gravity that held you close. And now, at the edge of morning, you feel it, that soft, inevitable shift. Night does not end. It only changes. The stars are still there, just hidden by the sun's bright curtain. The raven is still flying, just farther than your eyes can see. And you, standing here, are still held by the same laws that keep everything from falling apart. You smile, because even in this endless, quiet vastness, you are not small. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The sun crests higher, and the grass beneath your feet glows gold in its light. You stretch your hand out, palm open, as though you could hold a piece of it, but you don't need to. It's already here, already touching your skin, already filling the air you breathe. You close your eyes. The world hums. And in that hum, you hear it, faint but certain, the memory of wings. You do not need to see the raven to know it is still rising. Its path is written into the sky now, a line of quiet faith that connects earth to air, and air to the stars beyond. You let that image stay with you, because even as the morning grows brighter and your body grows heavier with sleep, there is a part of you that feels lighter than ever. The raven is gone, but it has left you with this, that in every step you take, in every breath, in every glance at the sky, you are held by the same quiet grace that carried it upward. You lay down, the earth solid beneath you, the sky stretching endless above you. The warmth of the sun seeps into your skin, and you feel your eyelids grow heavy dot, and just before sleep finds you, you wonder, if the raven has risen, how far will it go? Perhaps it will follow the stars you traced in the night. Perhaps it will ride the gravity you felt in your bones. Or perhaps, in some way you cannot see, it is still here, circling above you, proof that even the smallest flight can belong to something infinite. You take one last deep breath. The hum of the earth cradles you. The warmth of the sun wraps around you. And in the quiet between heartbeats, you rise too, if only in dreams. And now, as our story gently fades, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this moment with me. Your presence here means the world, and your support helps me create even more peaceful journeys. Just for you. If this helped you rest, please consider liking, subscribing, or simply coming back tomorrow night. Until then, stay cozy, stay kind, and may your dreams tonight be soft, serene, and full of wonder. Good night, my friend. With warmth, David.